Welcome back, Full Heel Podcast. I am your host, Rafael Chaidez, the host of the Full Heel Podcast. Joining me today, my buddy, all the way from Canada, the Canadian Destroyer, Ryan Dempsey.
Welcome, everyone, to WrestleMania.
All right, now you got to sing the national anthem.
Wait, the Russian one, the Canadian, which one? Because we heard a couple there, right?
Well, we'll save the best one for last. So the United States
goes first, and the Russian goes last.
You damn commie. What's up, Ryan? It's been way too long,
much, man. Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I've been spending a lot more time with, now that lockdown has ended, my shifts have kind of gone back to normal, and I have my Mondays. I was getting a lot of free time with my kids, which I loved a lot. But now that I'm back to work, my schedule's gone back to get my kids every Monday, so it gets a little tighter, and it's harder for me to jump on to the show and that. But I'm happy to be back, and we watched a doozy. We watched one that I'm surprised we haven't talked about in the past ever.
Yeah, well, I think we haven't talked about it because 3 is probably the most memorable, and that's the one that gets talked about the most. And what we're talking about is WrestleMania 1. We will be covering WrestleMania 1 today. We went back and watched it. We'll give you our thoughts, our match breakdowns, and tell you what we think and how corny it was.
Yeah, they're the 80s wrestling, man. It's either fantastic, like WrestleMania 3, like you said, like Hogan and Andre and Savage and Steamboat, or it's what you saw.
We're going to get into the card. Don't worry, guys. But first, Ryan got to catch up a bit. Yeah, so everything's getting back to normal in Canada?
Slowly, the vaccine's rolling out and shit, and there's...
And I bring that up because you just posted UFC's hosting their first full live event now.
Yeah, full. Like, not 50 people, not 100 people. They're saying they're going to pack Jacksonville, so... It's going to go one of two ways, right?
Yeah, well...
It's either going to go off without any issues, or Florida's going to have... I mean, and it's spring break now, and then you're going to roll right into the UFC, so you're going to have a lot of tourism going down there, and Florida's always had that little hotbed, but, I mean...
I don't think they care too much, do they?
No, fuck no. At this point in time, and it's not... It's the presidents of the companies, it's the CEOs, it's the owners, it's people that have money invested in shit that are ready to start getting their money back now.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. That's what it takes. You start complaining, and you start complaining to the people that you're paying money to. They got to listen, and I mean the politicians.
That's it.
People above them are fucking, hey, we gotta fix the economy. we gotta get paid. They don't care about the economy. They just want their money. Well, I'm glad everything's opening back up. That's pretty good. But I'm hoping that the vaccine is working and infection rates won't go up. My parents got the vaccine, so I'm kind of not worried about it. My brother has the vaccine. I'm probably the only one in the house that hasn't gotten the vaccine. So,
ooh, playing it risky, eh?
I've been eating keto for more than a year, so I've been eating healthier than all of them.
There you go. Yeah, and you got your fucking little side gig is flowing too.
Yeah, I might have fucking stacked my plate up pretty fucking big there. But yeah, so today I went to my regular job, worked 8 hours, got home, and then cooked for another I don't know how many hours, and just prepped. And now I'm doing a podcast, so this is my third job today that I'm doing. So this is pretty fun. But this is the enjoyable one, and to be honest, the cooking one's pretty enjoyable because I'm my own boss. I'm
Right.
my own CEO. I'm my own HR department. I'm my own fucking whatever.
Yeah,
It's me.
you can make every racist and sexist
Hmm.
joke you
Oh,
want.
and
You
I
just have
do. And I
because
do.
you're just talking to yourself, right?
Oh, and
So
I
it's
do. And I do. Big time. You should
you
hear
drop a
me.
racial slur to yourself as
Yeah.
as you're talking.
Mom's like, what's going on over there? Like,
Your dad's like,
shut up, lady. I'm
I get to
cooking
see
over
your dad.
here.
Like, Graf's talking to himself again.
Yeah. And I'm like, shut up, lady. You should be here cooking.
Yeah. Raf, please report to Raf in the HR
Yeah.
department.
Hey, you gotta calm down. She's your mom. All right, you got a point.
Yeah, yeah.
You got a point there, HR. But
That's
yeah,
funny.
no. So I've been enticing people with my prep meals. I bought a 50-piece set of containers, 24-ounce containers, 3 compartments.
Nice.
Um, and this is the first week that I've kind of had to cook for a lot more people and have prep meals ready to go instead of just being at my nephew's. So my mom and my dad jumped on because mom needs to lose weight and get healthy. Uh, so that's 2 plus me, that's 3 plus my nephew, that's 4. And then this guy at work, he wants to try it out for a month. I enticed him with a free one, and he's like, "Damn, this is really tasty, dude." And I'm like, "Hey, and you can lose weight. You can lose
Yeah.
weight too." So he's like, "Hey, dude, I want to try this out for a month," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." So today I gave him his 2 meals. I gave him his breakfast. I gave him his lunch or dinner or whatever. And I've kind of started making breakfast because he asked me to make breakfast. I think it's a little bit easier and it might be even a little bit cheaper, so it works out for me. It's a lot of eggs and bacon and just normal stuff. I don't have to.
Well,
I don't have to convince people with masking stuff like cauliflower and broccoli.
well, you know what's funny is that I was talking to a girl at work. I was telling her about what you're up to now with like prepping things for other people. I said, no, you see, like my buddy's like been doing keto for the last little while and he's losing a lot of weight. And I said like, then some people at work have noticed. And so they asked him, and she cut me off, and she goes, "Are you on drugs?" And I was like, I was like, "No, actually, they didn't ask him that at all."
No, well, they would walk by and they would see me. They would see me eating like fucking chicken and like what looked like rice and what looked like another side or whatever, and then like an
Right.
avocado. And they're like, "Man, you're eating like you're really fucking filling yourself up with good food." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I'm just trying to lose weight." And then they would notice me losing weight, and they'd be like, "Man, you're slimming up." And I'm like, "It's the keto." And they'd be like, "Hey, you're not like you're not." Well, I wouldn't complain about my back, but they're like, "You're not like walking around like all limping and shit." I'm like, "It's gotten rid of my inflammation. I'm doing better."
It's awesome, man. It's good to hear.
Yeah, and I wanted to this year, and I told you this year I was gonna start expanding my recipes and learning new shit. This kind of forced me. It turned
Well,
ah
yeah, you sent me that.
the risotto.
Uh, yeah, that risotto, that cauliflower risotto.
Yeah,
I was like, "Fuck, that looks good," because I'm a massive risotto fan.
yeah, you could
And when
do
I
it.
saw that, it was like everything that you've sent me cauliflower wise, and I've seen like being in the culinary world, I dip in and out to different things just because, and I was keto for a little bit, um, but I didn't realize how much now they're doing with cauliflower.
Everything.
Like cauliflower pizza dough, cauliflower rice, and that's the thing. Like rice and risotto are two different strands. So like the fact that they're taking like different absorption rates
Hmm.
and that kind of thing, like that's impressive. Like it gives people that are on a keto diet a lot more to play around with. They don't just have to have like a salad and chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
They can actually eat a full meal that actually looks like something that would be carb full, but it's carb free.
Oh, today I made almond flour pancakes, and I have sugar-free syrup,
Nice,
low-calorie syrup too. Tastes
nice.
just like syrup, it's just not as thick. And the pancakes they taste a little off, but they taste like pancakes for the most part.
And that's the thing. Like when you put a little, you put some syrup on there, and you put some like, or you mix in some keto fruit.
Hmm.
The fruit that is good. There's no difference, right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty much
Anything,
just substituting it for that.
and
And
like and when I was vegan years back, it was the exact same thing, right? Like you
mhm.
play around, you're like, okay, well, I had a vegan pancake recipe, and I'm like, ugh, like it's miss like that egg. and that milk kind of give it that little extra
Yeah.
something. So you kind of play around with it, and you find a way to get over that missing texture, missing
Uh-huh.
flavor, and you add maybe a touch of sugar or a touch of a berry of some kind or something, and next thing you know, you're eating something that's different from what you're used to,
Hmm.
but it tastes just like everything that you grew up eating kind of way.
Yeah. So like yesterday, and this is gonna sound crazy. Yesterday I made 90-second bread.
That's wild.
Yeah. So you grab a little bit of butter, teaspoon of baking powder. I forgot how. I think it was 3 tablespoons of flour and an egg, and you mix it all in a mug,
Yeah,
and then you pop it in the microwave for 90 seconds, and it pretty much rises into like a mug-sized loaf of bread.
that's pretty cool.
And I'm gonna look up all the recipes because it tasted just like bread, but bland. Well, not bland, but just like not flavored bread.
Yeah, it's bread that's missing like that like
Hmm.
I said, it's missing that little thing.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start adding like keto stuff, like dark chocolate. I can add. I can make it. I can add cacao or cocoa
Ooh, yeah, maybe like almost like a
powder.
dessert bread style.
Yes, yes.
That'd be
Yeah.
nice.
So today, like I said, I made pancakes. Like I've had to make breakfast. So I'm gonna start learning how to bake stuff, and maybe that 90-second trick will make it so much easier. Because dude,
Right.
90 seconds in a fucking microwave in a mug is crazy.
Yeah, you whip that. You wake up in the morning, you whip that together, you pop it in the microwave, you go take a piss, you come back and you have nice warm bread for breakfast.
Oh, dude, and so what? It comes out like a loaf, and then you cut it. You cut 2 slices off, and you could toast those 2 slices, and it's like having a breakfast sandwich. You could throw on bacon and egg and fucking cheese. Boom, all
Oof, that
keto.
sounds good.
And you can whip up some keto pancake, dude. I'm like I told you yesterday. I went from the keto kid to the keto cook. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you did say the keto cook, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Motherfucker's coming for my crown.
it's gonna be the keto chef next.
I'll have to send you some flour and some sugar. Here, Raph, try these out. Sabotage should play in the background.
Sabotage. So I've been drinking whiskey, and I came across screwball whiskey, and it's very dangerous.
Now is
So
the
here's to
peanut.
you guys. I don't.
Hey, Salu.
That's shot number 3. And for people that don't know me, I don't drink during the week. Oh man, wow, I don't drink during the week. I
Yeah, you're Raph's like, I'm all healthy, I'm keto, and he's like pounding whiskey. He's like,
that's my third shot actually right now. Okay, that's it.
that's hilarious. I love how we went from I'm super healthy to just fucking chugging whiskey.
We went from I'm super keto to please buy this fucking peanut butter whiskey. It's fucking delicious. Number
Yeah,
one.
hey, Screwball, if you want to do a full heel whiskey that's keto friendly, hit up Raph.
Or if you just want to pay me to advertise that I drink screwball whiskey, that would be fucking awesome because shit
Yeah,
is pretty good. I'm not gonna
nice.
lie.
Right on.
Look, dude, I just drank that right now, and it was like drinking like a thing of like a Jaeger shot or like a medicine thing,
The way that
but
you
peanut.
describe the way that you described it as being like peanut butter flavored and that kind of stuff, it made me think of I don't know if you've ever warmed up peanut butter, but when I was baking, I would have to melt peanut butter in a pot or in a microwave with maybe a little bit of cream or milk,
Hmm.
and it just the way that it becomes like so from so thick to so thin. And all I could imagine is just taking a shot glass and just pouring peanut butter in because
Hmm.
the way you like it tastes just like peanut butter. Just knock it back.
Dude, and I'm going to say this: drink responsibly. I am
Oh.
100% serious on this one. Drink responsibly. This shit is dangerous, and the
Well,
dangerous is, I mean, it's so damn fucking good. It does not stop you from drinking it. It's
we were
crazy.
talking before you hit record. It was I don't know, maybe about 10 years or so ago. My buddy was down in Kansas City and he had this vodka taste and it was grape flavored
Mm.
vodka. And he comes back to Canada, goes to the LCBO, picks up a bottle, comes into work, says, Ryan, you got to try this. I'm like, what is it? He goes, vodka. I'm like, I don't drink vodka. He goes, no, trust me, it's grape. I'm like, all right, well, I'll do a shot. So we do a shot. Shit tasted just like a white freezy. He's like, you want to, want a little bit on the rocks? I'm like, yeah, fuck, sure. So he puts some on. I don't know how much I drank, but within 45 minutes, it was one of those like, okay, we gotta like deep breathe. We got customers coming in. I gotta cook for the next like 6-7 hours. Like holy shit! And like, but it's like, oh, just like yeah, when you finish a freezy, that juice at the bottom, you knock it back. That's what it tasted like. But it's fucking vodka, and you're not thinking about it as your tongue tastes something completely different. Your brain's like, sweet. Next
Yeah.
thing you know, you're fucking chopping off fingers and setting restaurants on
Sounds
fire.
sounds really good though, actually. But Screwball, if you want me to stay away from that, let me know. Send me free bottles. Send me some money. I don't know. Sponsorship would be nice, but who knows? I might jump to it. So recently, I have like a Four Roses one out there too. It's a pretty much like a higher shelf whiskey. And I might, I'm gonna keep on exploring whiskeys. No one's paying me, no one's giving me money, so I'm just gonna go out there because I think there's other peanut butter whiskeys out there. To be honest, I'm pretty sure I've heard of different
there has
ones.
to be.
I was looking at Buffalo Trace the other day, and I almost bought it, but I picked up this one instead. So we'll see what's my next adventure into whiskeys. Hit me up, whiskeys. Maybe something local in Chicago.
There you go. Yeah, get like a local distillery of some kind.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Why
clip. I'm
not?
gonna have to clip this. All right, Ryan. Anything else before we get into this card?
What else? I don't really know. I actually do a quick little shameless plug. Actually, about 2-3 weeks ago, I actually got to jump on my buddy Derek Sluter's excellently executed podcast. He does a bi-weekly podcast talking Bret Hart. It's like a retrospective of his career. It's not necessarily just the Iron Man matches, the WrestleMania main events, the world title matches. It's anything and everything. Like I jumped on and we talked In Your House 3, where he took on Jean-Pierre Lafitte for the stolen Bret Hart ring jacket. You know what I mean? So he finds a fun match with a fun competitor and he breaks it down, talks about it, much like Raph does on the Full Heel podcast here. So I got to jump on and talk that. Go, give it a listen. Give him some support.
Yeah, check that out. I think I'm friends with him on Twitter. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
we definitely dropped Full Heel too. So we are. I'm doing my part to cross promote on every podcast that I jump on. So
Nice. That's what's up. Thanks, Ryan.
for sure.
Before we get started, go ahead and hit me up if you guys need shirts. They are coming. This Saturday should be in this Saturday.
Nice.
I didn't order that many because it came out of my pocket, so I'm trying to see how many people want them and how many I can get rid of so I can make more. And once I know how many I can get rid of, and once I know if more people want them, then I can make more. But I think this wave is a red wave, and then the next wave will probably be a white wave.
Right on.
But yeah, so now I have the guy to make them. Toucan's making my shirts. He's got the stuff to make it, so I need to start coming up with designs, and I need to start dishing out shirts so I can start selling merch and making money off of this shit too. Because I made my first $70 off of cooking already.
You can get a nice like Cristiano Ronaldo caricature, and on the back of it'll say like Frankie.
The weird head sculpt.
No, it'll just say Frankie
Frankie
or Goat.
Shout out to Frankie. He needs to bring back football on Full Heel.
Yeah, I'm missing that, man. Frankie, get your ass together, man. Come on.
Where you at, Frankie? We coming for you.
Yeah,
we coming.
Rafa's got that title belt. He's challenging you.
Let me fucking grab it. It's right there. Woo! I am the greatest professional wrestler. I'll go get the belt right now.
Hey, he said he wants Randy Orton to break it. He said he called his shot.
Do it.
He said if anyone does it, he said, I forget the exact quote, but he says, I want it to be Randy Orton. If it's John Cena, I'm okay with that, but I'd rather it be a full-timer, and Randy Orton is that full-timer. He's sitting on 15. I could see him getting one more, if Edge gets a title off of Roman at WrestleMania.
Which is a big possibility. Roman's had it for a while now.
Yeah, why not have an Orton Edge feud for throughout the summer? Maybe drop it to Orton at some point, kind of like they did with Drew McIntyre, just to get number 16. And then next year at WrestleMania, with the first WrestleMania with full capacity potentially, he breaks the record. There's your storyline.
I need to get it. I need to get an Edge. They have new school and old school, but I need to catch up more on newer school Edge so I can actually get it because I missed a lot of those years
Right.
of Edge on top. Ryan. So WrestleMania 1 was
Yes.
held May 31st, 1980.
March 31st.
March. Sorry, March 31st, 1985, Madison Square Garden. Attendance was 19,121. And it was almost named the Colossal Tussle.
And it was the biggest gamble in the history of professional wrestling at that point too.
Yes.
Like, can you imagine, you go with Colossal Tussle. Welcome everybody to Colossal Tussle 5. Like, WrestleMania, it's like, I mean, Super Brawl with WCW, I mean, sometimes something just sounds right. But the biggest, the gamble that Vince McMahon did to pull this off, to come up with the name, to come up with the idea of mixing rock and roll and wrestling, to go that closed circuit route, to go to the theaters and shit. Like, if this thing flopped, he was done. Like, there would be no WWF. There would be, Hogan be back in the AWA. Junkyard Dog would be back down Mid-South. It's probably one of the craziest what ifs if it went the other direction,
At this time, well, no, not at this time. Well, maybe. So WCW is about to explode. Jim Crockett Promotions, WCW.
Yeah. R.I.P. Jim Crockett Jr.
Yeah, he just died recently. R.I.P. Yeah, but the Jim Crockett's, they owned, or the Crockett's owned WCW at that time, or that was their creation. They had a television deal. And at this time, they had a lot of talent. They had Dusty Rhodes. They had Ric Flair, or they had the Four Horsemen. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had just left a month before this because he had been in disagreement with Dusty.
Yeah, and you actually see in this match, he's Ricky Steamboat because they didn't have anything to package him as. Like, he's just in there in the basic trunks, the basic name. There's nothing.
Mm-mm. Yeah, no, he's only been there 1 month because of a disagreement with Dusty Rhodes, the booker at WCW, baby. Woo! Who daddy? Let me tell you something. The son of a plumber, baby. But yeah, apparently, well, I don't know what happened. Actually, to be honest, I do not know what happened.
There was the Ricky Steamboat something to wrestle, and I don't recall if they talked about it back then. But there could be some insight into what went down.
Oh, in the Steamboat episode, probably.
Yeah, they may have gone to like a little bit of detail on what happened, but I'm not too familiar either.
I know the IC one in WWF. He left because his wife wanted him to leave or something.
Yeah,
and he just left. He's like, so they made him drop the title. Let's see. Where was I? Okay, so yeah, that's about it for that for WrestleMania 1. Tito Santana versus the Executioner was the first match of the night. First match of WrestleMania. I need to go back and watch a lot more Tito Santana because he's a Mexican icon. Not really a luchador. He's more of an a Mexican American icon in wrestling.
yeah. It's funny. Like, I feel like after watching this one, like, I grew up watching Tito, but I really realized that a lot of my knowledge of him is El Matador, like that late run.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him as with Rick Martel. Was it what the fuck was that? I'm drawing a blank on that name right now. But I remember his tag team run. I remember his solo stuff, but I remember him a lot more as El Matador, which is like it was just corny. He came out with the cape, and the hat, and he would wave the flag and just go through the motions and that. But watching this match here, I feel like I need to go back and watch that mid to late or even early '80s Tito Santana and kind of see what he was like early on.
Yeah, well, I've been watching a lot of old school WCW because of Conrad and Tony. They're covering old school WCW. I went and watched '85. I'm way ahead of them. I'm like in May of '86. So I, I've passed them up by a lot, but it's awesome to see where they were at in WrestleMania one because this is '85. This is just the year before these guys are covering it, and WCW is fucking red hot.
Right. Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about that because everyone thinks about WCW beating WWF in terms of the Monday Night Wars and how that all played out, but no one really talks about this era and how influential it was in times of wrestling because I didn't even know it either. I wasn't born, so I had no idea. And once these guys started
Well,
covering it, I'm like,
like WrestleMania was 3.5 months before I was born.
mm,
And I was, so when I grew up knowing the Hogans and that golden generation, as they call it. But the Attitude Era, I think, was so massive in the ratings that it kind of leapfrogs this era. But this era really put wrestling into pop culture because
mm-hmm.
before it was you'd go down to the local arena, you'd watch wrestling, and it was very very territorial. And then all of a sudden Vince starts buying things up and they're touring all across America, they're going overseas, they're coming into Canada. And then suddenly they're on MTV and Captain Lou Albano is in Cyndi Lauper's music video, and then there's a Hulk Hogan cartoon. Like all of a sudden, like these things start flashing up. There's lunch boxes. All of a sudden, like it changed so much in this era. But I think that what the Attitude Era did, um, raising its popularity exponentially, kind of made people forget how important this era was.
No, yeah, no, it's super important. I'm definitely enjoying going back and watching this, and it's well, we're gonna talk about it later on. But the belt that Hogan comes out with in the main event looks like the um, national heavyweight champion. So
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
WCW
yeah.
there was the world heavyweight champion, which was first it was the NWA championship, and then it became the big gold belt, the one that
The
Ric
big
Flair
gold,
has.
yeah.
Yeah, the WCW championship that we all know and love. And there was also a national heavyweight championship, the one that Tully would have. And I think that was just the heavyweight champion of a different territory, which eventually got taken in by Crockett as well.
And
And
I think that was the only heavyweight championship that Rick Rude ever won, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
I think he won. I remember seeing he was a WCW champion, and I was like, he was never a WCW champion. And it was right when was it right when Ric Flair jumped to WCW or to WWF? He brought Big Gold with him, and I think they recognized Ric Flair's international or national heavyweight championship as the number one title for a number of months before they got the Big Gold back into WCW.
Yeah, that's the only time that
And I think that that's the only reason why people claim that he was a true undisputed heavyweight champion, even though there's kind of like that asterisk
yeah.
to it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird in that situation with Rude because Flair left with the belt because he paid a deposit on the belt, and that deposit wasn't given back to him on the
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he left because they wanted to change his gimmick, and he said no way, and he was champion, and they wanted him to drop the belt as well, and they didn't pay him back his deposit, so he left and came to the
So he's like, you gave me my deposit. It's big and gold, and it's around my waist.
yeah. That shit was beautiful.
Oh fuck, man!
It's
That
it's it's awesome going back and watching the debut of that belt. That was in '86, February of '86.
that's one of those belt like when they say that something can stand the test of time. That's a belt that was big in the 80s, big in the 90s, big in the 2000s. And I think all they really did was change the gems from red to white or from white to red. They kept the faceplate almost identical. Maybe the side plates may have changed a bit, but they kept that thing from, from Rick to Sting to Ron Simmons, Vader, Hogan, Goldberg, DDP, Edge, Batista, you name it, whoever held that belt. It wasn't like WWF when they went from from Hogan's mid 80s belt to the Winged Eagle to the Attitude Era to the spinner. Like the way the WWF has changed it so many times, that big gold belt just stayed the same.
Probably has the most history, from being the NWA championship to turning into the WCW championship to being held ransom by Ric Flair, then going and turning into the international championship, and then eventually becoming the world championship again, and then having your run in WCW, and then becoming the NWO WCW heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
And then folding into the WWF.
Not even. It disappeared for like a year and a half.
Yeah. And then
before Eric Bischoff just was like, hey, Brock, the story was,
they brought it in, and then
the whole story was that there was the WWF had merged it as the Undisputed Championship.
Yeah, the one that
Eddie held. They just tossed it away, and then storyline, Brock Lesnar signed to be SmackDown exclusive, and so Eric Bischoff was like, hey, there's a belt in an organization I used to run just sitting on the shelf, so Hunter, here you go. And we got another, 10 years out of that belt?
It's a beautiful belt, man.
It's so good. It's so good. Like, you can't even put into words how beautiful it is.
It's modeled after a belt buckle, a cowboy belt buckle.
Yep. It's the simplicity of things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know how we got into the WCW belt, but the one that Hogan comes out with.
We were talking about the Hogan belt.
Yeah, it looks like the National Heavyweight Championship, and I don't know if they were kind of designing it to look similar, because at that time maybe that territory was hot and they had that belt, and WWF just kind of copied it. Eventually, it becomes the 86 to 88 belt, the one that only Hulk Hogan held, the one with the side plates as the flags.
Yeah.
It looks like the television title in the middle plate, and then there's flags on the sides. That one only Hogan held it, and then it becomes the Winged Eagle. I forgot when.
WrestleMania 3.
Okay, Andre gets it. Oh no, he just comes out with it. Right?
No, I think they're God, they talked about it on the promo, or sorry, they talked about something to wrestle. When Andre beat Hogan, they talked about it. There's a promo when Hogan has the Winged Eagle, but he comes out. Oh, maybe that was the night. Maybe it was the night that Andre beats him. Because I think it was the Saturday Night's Main Event. Hogan cuts a promo holding one belt, but he walks out with another belt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be where the Winged Eagle made its debut. The night, it might have been the night that Andre pinned Hogan and gave the belt to DiBiase.
Because I know it changes for Austin. He wings the Winged Eagle off of Shawn, and then the next day it becomes the Attitude Era belt.
And I'm so happy that Austin held that title for like 22 hours, so that fig that I have has all three Austin belts. Because I mean, I know the belt that Austin's synonymous with the Smoking Skull, and he's in every world heavyweight title that he won was the Attitude Era title, but that iconic scene of Austin on the turnbuckle holding the Winged Eagle, I'm just like, you need that belt, right? And I'm happy that my fig has that.
The same fig I have with the 3 belts.
Yeah, the 3-in-1. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave one.
Plus, my Brett needs that. My Brett needed that Winged Eagle.
Well, I gave the Attitude Era one to The Rock, and I gave the Smoking Skull to Austin.
Right. Yeah.
And the Winged Eagle, I think, did go to Brett, or to my other Austin fig. I'm not sure.
It didn't go to DiBiase.
DiBiase's got a $1 million belt, bro.
Now you gotta get yourself an Andre handing the title to.
I do have an Andre.
You do?
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah, the mini one or
no, I have the giant machine.
oh, do you really?
Yeah, so I just popped the regular Andre head on instead of the giant machine head on, and he's Andre the Giant.
Nice. I dig it.
Yeah,
And you got a head?
I do have the Hasbro one too, though.
Yeah, I remember the Hasbro one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do have the giant machine. I'm looking at the wrong show. I'm looking the wrong way now. Yeah, no, I do. I definitely have them. And recently I got a $1 Million Man too.
Nah, that $1 Million Man's nice.
With the $1 Million
You finally got that $1 Million belt. You don't need the ringmaster no more.
No, I do, but I don't need.
You find the one, you buy two, right?
Yeah. You never got them, right?
I never got. Dude, I went to Toys R Us and they had a wall full of them. I'm like, I'll get it next time. Next time I went, there were none. I'm like, motherfucker.
God damn.
And it was like honestly like $12. Like it was not. I was
Yeah,
like,
well,
no.
people were
Like,
buying. How long
but
was Austin the Ringmaster?
but that's the thing. Like they had honestly, like I could guess that they had probably like 80 on the shelf, and I got the Austin Defining Moments 3 title one instead. And I'm like, I should just thrown down that extra $10. I mean, what's $10?
You should have gotten them both, but definitely
That's
the
the
better
thing, like,
choice was the Austin with the 3 belts.
For sure. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so this was kind of a back and forth match, 4-minute match between Tito and the Executioner. I don't know if we even talked about it. A little back and forth with Tito playing the babyface role, playing his comeback. What's funny about this though is Tito is the first match of the first WrestleMania ever, and he wins, right?
Right. Yeah.
So he goes on to lose 7 straight WrestleManias after this.
And okay, you know what I thought was funny when I was watching this match back? I don't know if you remember, but we were talking about Macho Man, and we talked about at one point in time, I think it was it Macho Man or maybe even in another episode, but we talked about the figure four, and we were talking about how no one ever loses to the figure four leg lock. It's Ric Flair's signature move, but he never really wins matches by it. And then me and you went off on like just somehow naming match after match after match after match after match of guys who have won with the fucking figure four leg lock.
Yeah.
And sure enough, this match ends with the figure four leg lock. I watched him like, you got to be kidding me. The first WrestleMania match ever ends in a figure four leg lock after me and Raph shit on it so hard maybe a month or so ago.
What's crazy is Ric Flair doesn't ever win by that. Everyone else would do it and win by that.
Yeah.
Like you see Dusty Rhodes doing it. You see fucking Tully Blanchard doing it. You see Arn Anderson doing it. And you're like, what the fuck?
But I just thought it was so funny that me and you shit on the figure four leg lock, and then the second that we were done shitting on it, we like you just did. We rambled off all these matches that are iconic. Where it ended with the figure four leg lock, and sure enough, it's more iconic than the first ever WrestleMania match, figure four leg lock.
And what's crazy is it's synonymous with Flair, and he doesn't win by it.
Yeah, it's so great. It's so I love it.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so Santana wins by a figure four leg lock in a 4-minute match against the Executioner. I'm not sure who the Executioner was. Do you know who he was?
Let me take a quick little sneak peek here right now. Buddy Rose. Oh, Playboy Buddy Rose. No shit.
Paul Robert Perchman.
Yeah.
Perchman?
Yeah, so Playboy Buddy Rose. There's a blast from the past. Wow.
Wrestled primarily for the AWA, WWF. Is a promoter as well.
You'd know Buddy Rose without the mask, as Playboy Buddy Rose.
I think so, probably.
You would definitely know him to see him.
Second match of the night, if you can call it a match, was King Kong Bundy with Jimmy Hart taking on Special Delivery Jones.
SD baby. Listen, you don't understand. SD Jones was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. Yeah.
I didn't know why? Who he was.
You know why I loved him so much? Because my dad would talk nonstop about him because he was one of those weird guys that was just on whenever, because, nowadays you have Raw, NXT, SmackDown, TNA, AEW, and all this shit. Back then, you didn't get a lot of wrestling on TV. So when it came on, you would watch it. So my dad, when I was before I was born and when I was really little, SD Jones was constantly in WWE one way or another. He was always there. So my dad just knew about him. My dad would always talk about him. So every time I heard whenever I heard SD Jones, I was like, "Oh, SD Jones on TV! I gotta watch SD Jones." I have no fucking idea who he is.
That's hilarious. I had no idea
But
who he was.
as a kid, I was like, I would get so excited because my dad would say his name, so I thought he was like Hulk Hogan. Because you're a kid, you don't know how good or bad someone is. You just hear the name over and over and over again. I mean, he's now a Hall of Famer, rightfully so.
Mhm. I
Um,
thought he was like a different athlete of some other like sport he was facing King Kong Bundy
no,
because of the name. Or it doesn't even sound like a wrestling name to me.
SD Jones,
Well,
SmackDown
they
Jones.
weren't calling him SC. They were calling him
No,
Special
yeah,
Delivery
they were calling
Jones.
special delivery. Yeah,
So I was like, what? I'm like, is this guy just?
and
Uh,
I will point this out. Something that I learned from Something to Wrestle on the King Kong Bundy episode
mhm.
that I've now made a priority every time I see a King Kong Bundy match is I always look at his face like intently. No eyebrows.
Oh, you didn't know that? I always thought that was weird that he had no eyebrows.
Because I always I remember him with no eyebrows, but I also remember him with eyebrows.
Hmm.
And then I remembered on Something to Wrestle, they talked about how he just went nonstop. And so like I grew up on I don't know, I grew up watching like old and new and mix and match and all this stuff. So guys never look the same. And so now when I see King Kong Bundy, I always focus on the eyebrows. Like I can't not look at his eyebrows every time I see him on TV.
Kenny Omega didn't have eyebrows like a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it was a
Really?
prank. I messaged Jesus. I'm like, does Kenny Omega not have eyebrows? He's like,
Oh no! Well, no. What happened? They blew off in that big explosion at the end of that match.
it was before this, but yeah, I get you, dude.
Blew his eyebrows straight off.
They could have, and they tried. They speaking of that, we could divert real quick. They could have played it off so good if Kenny Omega would have come out at the end of the match and laughed. They're trying to play it off as that now.
Oh, yeah, like make it look like can make a pranked Moxley.
Now that's what they're trying to make it look as.
That would have been good.
But they needed to, and it's an impromptu thing that they needed to do and call an audible as that they were going because of the shit explosion. They needed Mox. They needed to be like, oh shit, I need to come out and I need to just laugh as we go off air.
You know what I think is hilarious is the first statement that they put out where it's like, you know, I don't know why everyone is so upset. We have to look at the safety of our competitors and blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. And as I'm reading this statement, I'm like, yeah, sure. Japan's like, fuck, we got people in the stadium. Boom! Like, you had an empty arena, dude. Like, you could have fucking blasted that shit outward, no problem. Japan was like, we got guys in the ring, on the floor, and a full arena, and we're gonna set up a fucking
Especially with it being
bomb.
COVID and it being limited seats, they could have, especially with the amount of noise they already come. Dude, I'm telling you, I fucking shit my pants when I'm at the when I go to WWE shows.
Oh, when like the stuff goes, the
Yeah,
pyro.
I
Well, why
remember
not?
specifically the Dudley
Why do
boys.
they? Well, why is he in the ring? If you want, how about you blow up the ring, but you have him maybe outside the ring or something?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like maybe they're battling outside the ring and the ring blows up. Oh, like you can get, and then there's your shock factor is that the
Hmm.
ring did blow up.
Well, yeah,
Oh, I don't
that
know.
was a dud on their part, but I think WWE or AEW is still going strong, and I think NXT's moving to Tuesdays.
Tuesdays, starting June. I think right. I think it's around when the hockey playoffs start.
So now it's going to be a real ratings war to see who gets the higher ratings, it being available to watch both of them.
Well, I'm actually kind of interested in seeing what happens with AEW's ratings because the reason why NXT is leaving Wednesday nights is because USA is going to start carrying um, hockey and baseball.
Mm.
So I'm kind of curious to see, like, you know, if NXT is going up against like a Stanley Cup playoff game, can they hold their own? You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be because
Probably
like we
not because.
but I mean like we've compared not me and you, but like
Mhm.
they've compared WrestleMania to Super Bowl before, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's apples and oranges, but they always compare it. So it's going to be interesting to see now with
Yeah.
AEW going up against like a top four North American sport.
No, we know
Um,
TBS is TBS will give NHL the time slot,
Yeah.
and because they know that that's what draws. Like it's happened, and I'm pretty sure that's why WWE is moving from the Wednesday time slot too. They're like, fuck it, we'll have less problems on a Tuesday night than we
Yeah.
would on a Wednesday night.
It's just easier, yeah. Let USA do what they want, and also with Peacock, it's gonna be interesting to see what WWE does with Peacock.
Yeah, I gotta switch over soon. Well,
Yeah.
when it's available. All right, next match. Next match is, well, I don't think we even finished this one. King Kong Bundy defeats Special Delivery Jones.
I think we talked about SD Jones longer than this match
Yeah.
lasted.
So
Which
actually,
says a lot.
this match actually lasted 24 seconds. They kept on saying it was. They tried to make it a point that it was the fastest match ever. At 9
I think
seconds.
it was it was the fastest match up until I think Kane and Chavo.
Oh shit! That was how long was theirs? Because this supposedly was 9 seconds.
Yeah, they said the Kane Chavo match was Kane. Chavo was the champion. Kane was a surprise opposition, and Chavo ran at him, got chokeslammed and pinned, and that was it. It was maybe like 8 seconds. And I think the only other match that I can think of that might be in competition is Sheamus and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania for the title in the opener. But that one I think was about 20, 25, maybe 30 seconds.
Poor DB. No, apparently
Play with AJ, get burned.
Apparently Special Delivery didn't want to do the job so fast, and he was being difficult. And
yeah,
because it was supposed to be 9 seconds, that's why they were saying 9
and
seconds.
I'm actually kind of surprised that watching that it was 1, 2, 3, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't demand a 5 count.
What do you mean?
King Kong Bundy used to do 1, 2, 3, and then he'd look at the ref and say count to 5, and then the ref would count 4 or 5, and it was supposed to be like, he's so powerful that you can't even kick it out of a 5 count.
Mm-hmm.
And when he did the avalanche and the splash, it was 1, 2, 3, and he stood up, and I was kind of there wasn't like he didn't.
No, well, I'm telling you, there was a little bit of heat between these guys because Special Delivery was kind of pissed that he had to do the job in 9 seconds, so that's what. And then it lasted longer than it did.
It's kind of shitty because you don't really necessarily know the backstage what they want to do. No one, SD Jones probably didn't realize that King Kong Bundy was about to cripple Hulk Hogan and go on a run to main event WrestleMania 2 the following year, right?
Yep, that's WrestleMania 2.
But it is what it is.
Crazy. He doesn't do it much.
With what?
Then he falls off after that. Doesn't really do much.
No, yeah, he comes back in the 90s and loses to Lawrence Taylor, and he's like, "Fuck, I'm out."
Yeah. So King Kong Bundy wins with a big splash, and then the next match after this is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Doink the Clown. Matt Bourne.
Yeah, how about that, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a fan of 90s wrestling and you love the original Doink the Clown, go check out WrestleMania 1. You get to see him Song's face paint.
Yeah. And then
it almost looks like Michael Hayes.
Yeah, very similar. We mentioned that Steamboat made his debut before this. Debuted at WrestleMania 1. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Matt Bourne has that kind of fun thing where his first WrestleMania is WrestleMania 1, his second WrestleMania is WrestleMania 9 at Caesar's Palace.
God damn, his Doink, right?
Yeah.
This one was a quick match, 4-minute match. A little bit of back and forth.
Yeah, a lot of these matches are very similar. They're 4 to 7 minutes back. A lot of these matches are back and forth. They're all just telling that little bit of story.
Yeah, with Ricky being the baby face and mounting the comeback. He ends the match with a double chop to the throat, and as Matt Bourne is recovering, Steamboat is already on the top rope and hits a flying crossbody. Yeah, and gets the 3 count. Quick match, nothing really there.
No.
Match after the.
I will say, actually, it reminded me, going back to the King Kong Bundy SD Jones. Uh, did you notice like the interviews, eh? When Mean Gene Okerlund was talking, he would look to his left he'd look to his left, he'd be talking to one guy. So he looks to his left, he's talking to ST Jones. As ST Jones turns away, all Okerlund does is turns to his right and starts talking to King Kong Bundy. It's like they're right there, side by side. Like they were like there was no like, or they're only gonna talk to one person. No, they're gonna go here and then it's gonna be here. And in the other segments with Lord Alfred Hayes, while he's talking, if you look behind him, you can see how they edited in the segments for those interviews. Because at one point, I forget, I want to say it was, I'm basing it off of the attire. It was Greg the Hammer Valentine walking to the ring behind Lord Alfred Hayes. And then they turn in and they're interviewing, was it Barry Windham? And oh Christ, not Ernar, Mike Rotundo.
Yeah, IRS.
I want to say that as Lord Alfred Hayes is talking, you can, if you look in the background, you can see one guy walking to the ring, and then next thing you know, Mean Gene Okerlund is interviewing someone completely different. And you said it in the opening, it's corny. But if you go back and you take a look at those small details, it's awesome. It's 80s wrestling at its finest.
Yeah. I actually just recently got a Ricky Steamboat with the gi and the Intercontinental Championship from Amazon.
He stole from Macho.
I wonder why my Macho Man didn't come with a belt. I have always wondered that. I have that Macho
and justification.
Mm-hmm. I have them both now, actually.
Okay. Quick side note, really quick, because we mentioned Macho Man. I did my bad impersonation. So last week,
good, yeah.
Last week I'm hanging with, like, Carla was with me and Connor was with Kara, and we met up at the park. We played for a bit, and we were gonna switch, and Connor was gonna come home with me. So we're at the park, and Connor says, "Hey, Daddy, when we go to your house, is it okay if we watch wrestling?" And I looked at him like, dig it? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And normally the ex looks at me and reprimands me for letting him watch wrestling. This time, Carla, 6 years old, looks at me, Daddy, stop doing your Macho Man impersonation in public. It's embarrassing. I'm like, listen, Miss Elizabeth.
You should have been like, well, let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah, freak.
I won't do Macho Man.
Or break out the Rock. It doesn't matter what you think.
What?
Yeah.
Woo!
Connor's that's what's wrestling, and I do my Carla. Daddy, Dad, just no. No, I'm like, oh, this is how we're gonna play this game now. All right.
I used to woo all the time at work till it eventually became annoying enough to where everyone else started doing it too, and I had to stop because everyone was wooing.
Oh,
so
the dishwasher. At the end of the shift the other night, I was like, dig it.
I was Macho Man for a bit. I was impersonating.
I drop the Macho Man all the time at work, and the dishwasher. He's like, Ryan, stop doing Macho Man. I'm like, I am the cream of the crop. He's like, stop it now, just stop it. I'm like, listen, I might have. You know what? I might have to start breaking out the what. I might have to. Or I'll bring out the Rock, put it in the hand, and just say, bring it.
Someone will fight you one day, Ryan. You better watch out with that.
Yeah. Well, I'll get a steel chair. It's all good.
Yeah. Just don't get a knife in the kitchen.
I'll just keep brass knucks in my trunks.
Aye. You got to keep them in the crotch like wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Ryan, why are you putting your hands in your pants for?
You wait. You just wait.
You'll see brass knucks, and it'll be all taped.
You're about to get a mouthful of something. I'm not sucking your cock, Ryan. What the fuck?
Or my favorite was always Regal, when Regal would reach in his trunks and take it out, and it was just tape. It wasn't even brass knucks; it was just tape. He hit him with a roll of tape. Good God, he's that cold.
Well, knock me out, bro.
Oh fuck, man.
So Steamboat picks up the victory, and after this we have Brother Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Brutus.
Or, actually, at this time it's just Brutus Beefcake. It's not even the
Brutus the fucking Barber.
I actually have this Hasbro fig. He's got the same pants.
Oh, I know what one you're talking about because you have the one that is yours white and pink.
The boots are white, the shorts are pink, and it's got a black stripe down the side, down the end, and then
Oh,
he's
okay,
got the
no,
gloves.
mine. Yeah, I know what one you're talking about. I had a white and pink one. Like the trunks are white and pink, but I know what one you're talking about.
I recently
It
picked up
was
a
awesome
Piper.
watching this and seeing Johnny Valiant.
Mm.
Oh, and also I'm gonna plead complete and utter ignorance. Uh, David San Martino. I did not know this. I feel like it's something I should have known. I think I may have heard on different podcasts that Bruno was sour because his son couldn't get over, but I'd never really realized that I have seen him wrestle until this week.
I was gonna just go along that it's his son, but I was not 100% sure, and I never looked it up because I had to take notes and I was super busy with other stuff.
I'm pretty sure it's his son. I think I remember Bruce Pritchard
Yeah,
saying something about his son. Um, but
I know Vern Gagne was, but see, this is different. And you know what? This is the exact conversation they were having. So Bruno was pissed that his son didn't get over and had the skill in which Gagne was putting. Who's the promoter that wasn't a wrestler? Was it Vern Gagne? No.
the
You know what? I think it was though. I think
yeah,
it was Vern Gagne that was the promoter, and he was a wrestler, but his son wasn't a good wrestler.
I
But he
think
was the son of a promoter, and he was getting pushed, and
that
in
makes
which
sense. Yeah, I think
in which he
I
shouldn't.
think because Vern Gagne was a wrestler
Yeah,
back in the
and I
WWE
think
days.
this was the exact conversation they were having. That Bruno was pissed because he was stuck in a similar situation, but his son,
But the opposite way, the
yeah,
guy with
the
the
opposite
talent's
way.
not getting over. It's almost like Roman Reigns, how Vince is like, this guy needs to get over, and he's not getting over,
Mm-hmm.
and Vince is getting pissed off, kind of shit. It's like, yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, I just watching the match, and when I saw David Sammartino, and I was like, I plead ignorance because I'm like, I don't recall ever seeing him wrestle, and I almost don't remember him being a wrestler except for Bruce Pritchard talking about it time to time.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if he gave up soon or something. I don't know because
He
from
might.
this
I
match,
mean,
it's well, he's the baby face in the match, but he's using a lot of holds and a lot of he definitely has a wrestling background, or his dad just trained him, and his dad being an old school wrestler is a catch wrestler anyway.
yeah, there you go. Like his final promotion or his final appearance in WWF was November this year. Like November '85, he's gone.
Okay, I thought you meant like
Oh,
like
oh,
2021. I'm
sorry.
like, what the fuck?
Uh, he was in WCW in '96.
Doing what?
Challenged Dean Malenko for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Holy fuck, yeah, then nothing really. I guess he just jobbed out to Malenko.
Just he returned in the '90s. He wrestled for Herb Abrams, which in that disaster uh, went to AJPW. 2000, he New York State Wrestling Federation. Yeah, he did nothing. After this, he kind of he went to UWF, the
Hmm.
Universal Wrestling Federation, with Herb Abrams, and then went to WCW briefly, and that's it. Yeah.
They gave both of these guys time either for San Martino being or David being Bruno's son, or Beefcake being Hogan's friend. And I don't know if at this time they were buddies like that.
Well, I'll say I wonder partially. I wonder if part of the problem with David was having Papa there. I mean, when you got the legend, when your father was champion for fucking 2,000 days, whatever that stupid record is that Bruno has, that 10 years or whatever as heavyweight champion,
Hmm.
and now he's going to be your manager. You got to be Hulk Hogan. You got to be Ric Flair. You got to be John Cena if that is your manager. You know what I mean? You have to be that next level. To be the son, I feel like that probably hurt him in a lot of ways, especially with WWF at this point in time. It was all across America, but it was still very much a Northeast territory, and that's Bruno's home. And I can see people being like, don't try and shove Bruno Jr. down our throats. You're not going to be as good as your dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%.
I can I can see
I
stuff
know a
like that
similar case.
happening.
Chavez Jr. with Chavez.
Oh, Julio,
Yep.
Julio, yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I mean, you see Julio Jr. fucking getting a title shot, and he looks like trash, and you're like, what? Like, how'd you get this match? And you think about it, you're like, it's the namesake. Like, you're 2-4 in your last couple of bouts, but you have that name, and they
Hmm.
needed a contender. So hey, that name used to sell. Why can't it now? It makes
Yeah,
sense,
but
man.
I feel bad for the kid because he's not a horrible boxer. The thing is,
No, he's not. He's not at all.
he is a world champion caliber boxer, or was at a certain point in that division. But now we have names that came up and surpassed him. It's just he never lived up to his father's name.
Well, and that's the other thing too is that when your dad's that champion and you follow into it, and if when like, trying to think, I don't, I'm not,
People
I don't
talk
want to,
Mayweather being
I don't want.
50 and 0,
Well, I don't want to misspeak on Julio Caesar because I was going to say if he won, I think he won like 70 straight or something like that,
80
or
some. I think it was
eight.
89.
Yeah, yeah. So you look at something like that, so when your son's fighting, or or you start fighting, and your dad had this record, and he's an all-time legend, and you start out 20-0 or something. I'm not great on his record, don't quote me. Uh, but you take a loss, it plays with your psyche. You're like, fuck, man, my wouldn't have lost that.
Yeah.
And maybe you hit the bar a little bit to kind of like shake off the demon of that loss, and then you start up another demon with the drinking. You know what I mean? Like things play a weird route because you watch him; he's not terrible, but you look at some of his fights, and you're like, he shouldn't be in there, man.
Hmm.
And it's just like that he's only there because of his namesake.
Yeah, and you know what sucks even more for him? It's not like, oh, my dad is he's one of the greatest boxers of all time. That's one thing. He's a legend in Mexico.
Oh,
Like
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's one of the biggest celebrities in Mexico to this day for being a national. He was a national
He was a
hero.
hero. Yeah,
He was a hero. Like I remember my dad taking me to fights at his like we would go as a family to like his cousin's house or whatever because they would order the fight, and it would be like a family gathering. Eventually,
right. Yeah, yeah.
we would go and do that with De La Hoya, like Jamie's parents would order the fights because they had like a big screen or whatever, and they'd invite my parents over, and we'd watch all the boxing matches there, like De La Hoya. I think it was pretty much the De La Hoya era. I know we saw De La Hoya Mayweather there. Jamie was rooting Mayweather. He was going full heel
Actually,
at the time.
here's a fun one for you. Last night, I threw on WrestleMania 14 just for shits and giggles,
Hmm.
and I think we've covered it. I've told the world on this show it's my favorite WrestleMania of all time, and I see a face on the screen. So Mike Tyson comes out to special enforcer the main event, and I see a face on the screen that I never recognized or not recognized. I never realized. Sorry, was at this WrestleMania, and it was Marvin Hagler.
Oh
And I'm
shit!
watching, him, and I see the smiling face. I'm like, Marvin Hagler, what the fuck? And I'm like I never realized Marvin Hagler was at WrestleMania 14 in the crowd, and here I am watching it like the day after he fucking passed.
Yeah, R.I.P.
And,
Marvin Hagler.
and
He was only
I spent
66.
Dude, I spent Saturday night. I saw the news. I was like, fuck. I went home. I put on YouTube. And I just put on fuck. I just typed in Marvin Hagler and just sat back. That's it. I watched Hearns and Hagler like 3 times.
Hmm.
I threw on just a bunch of his shit, man. But it was so wild though to put on WrestleMania 14 and see him sitting there in the crowd. I'm like, what? You gotta be fucking kidding me. How did I watch this pay-per-view, 50 times and never once see Marvin Hagler in the crowd? And the day after he dies, I put it on, and there he is sitting in the crowd. I fucking bizarre shit, man.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
R.I.P. champ.
Yeah. Uh, these guys got well. These guys, Beefcake and David San Martino got what was it? 11 minutes, almost 12 minutes.
10, 12 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it was a wrestling display by not like a crazy display, but it was a lot of
No.
holds and stuff like that by David. That's why it lasted this long. And I guess they gave. I don't know why they gave him a lot of time, but they did.
And it's funny because to give a match this one, like all your other matches had 4 minutes at this point, and now you give them 10 plus, and you give us that finish. That was a shitty finish, like
Yeah.
to have David getting kicked on the outside, and then
He got slammed and then thrown in, and then Bruno attacks Jimmy, and then they all get in the ring, and then the brawl ensues, and then they get disqualified. Everyone gets disqualified.
yeah, just a wild. I don't know, man. Just a weird little finish to a match that got so much time.
I don't I don't know what weight Beefcake held, but maybe they didn't want him to lose, and maybe they didn't want San Martino's son to lose.
Well, if you're gonna have a double disqualification, give these guys, shave 5 minutes off, give them 6 minutes, give them 7 minutes, and give 5 minutes to SD Jones and King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, why not? Like just have SD Jones, try for a few minutes to try and knock him off his feet, and then King Kong Bundy can do like a clothesline and then just walk around for 30 seconds and like taunt. You know what I mean? Like, you sell the power that way as opposed to a 20-second win and then give these guys 11 minutes for a cheap finish.
Yeah. It was weird how it ended with no winner. In a long match like that, but whatever.
Yeah.
Next match is for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship.
Thump.
Greg the Hammer Valentine, Intercontinental Champion.
Your aunt.
My aunt from Mexico. Taking on the Junkyard Dog, JYD.
Oh, man, I love JYD growing up, man. He was one of my favorites.
And I'm going to look it up. I don't know if this is... I think, and I'm guessing it's before their crazy... dog strap match or dog collar match.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which is supposed to be one of, if not the greatest dog collar matches there is out there.
I want to say this is before.
Yeah,
so I want to say that the dog collar would have been like a feud ender. Usually those matches are what ends it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually a feud like that would end it, like with Cody and the Exalted One.
Brody exactly. Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact date on that.
Why am I getting... For some reason, I get Piper.
That might be the Piper one then.
Maybe it's Piper that we're thinking of.
Yeah, I might be wrong then. I thought it was JYD.
Yeah, the only one that is popping up here for me in a dog collar is Piper. JYD.
Yeah, that's the only one I saw too. I could have sworn it was JYD, but no.
Yeah, the only one that I'm seeing here is just WrestleMania 1.
With these two?
Yeah, the only one I'm not seeing anything about a strap match.
Mm-hmm. Valentine was so much more of a badass at this time.
Oh yeah.
This is probably peak Valentine. And even Monsoon mentions it.
Well, and it's funny because I think people our age, when Greg the Hammer Valentine is a known name, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when he went into the Hall of Fame, was kind of like a really, if you're not really well versed, and you go back and you look at his end of 70s into and throughout the 80s, what he did was fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
he was phenomenal, but it doesn't get talked about as much because by the end of the decade, he's teaming with Honky Tonk Man.
Rhythm and Blues. I thought it was Ric Flair when he walked out to the ring, dude, with this fucking badass robe and shit.
Okay, so it is. Okay, so remember when I said earlier about Alfred Hayes is talking, and in the background you see the guy walking down with the robe.
Yeah.
That was Greg the Hammer Valentine, and that was when they cut and they went to a match that happened like this. You watch him walking down to the ring, but the match that they're promoting is a completely different match. It's hilarious.
I need to get myself a robe. A Greg the Hammer Valentine style robe.
I'm gonna get one that says, instead of the Nature Boy, it's gonna say the Nacho Boy.
The Nacho Boy. I'm gonna go get my pizza, get pizza deliveries, and fucking pick them up with my robe.
Walk down there. Here you go, sir. Woo!
Yeah, woo! Is that my pizza? Woo! This was a good match in terms of work. You can really see Greg and like I've always heard he's a good worker, but I didn't see him until later in his career. And this kind of showcases his selling and his ableness to wrestle as well. Like he's a really good seller. Like you believe it.
And this is another thing. Like these are two Hall of Famers that a lot of people don't realize why they're in the Hall of Fame, and it's because JYD's work in Mid South is so fantastic.
The crowd popped for him crazy. Maybe because of his song alone, but his song was sick.
But I mean, like JYD in the South, man, when he was fighting like DiBiase and those guys, and then if you do know JYD in the '80s, or sorry, Greg the Hammer Valentine in the '80s, you go back and you actually study a little bit of what these guys did. There's a reason they're in the Hall of Fame. It's not like just because like JYD was in Hulk Hogan's cartoon and Greg the Hammer Valentine pretended to play the guitar. You see this match and you're like, fuck, like, goddamn, these guys can put on a nice little program.
At this time, is JYD the biggest African American wrestling star? Who would have been bigger? Rock's dad?
Maybe
Rocky Johnson?
Maybe Rocky Johnson, Tony Atlas.
Ron Simmons at one point will be.
Ron Simmons in like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably Junkyard Dog is probably.
He's up there.
He's probably the biggest, I'd say.
At this point, yeah.
In the like coming from Mid South to like when you're fighting when you're a professional wrestler in the South, and they're cheering you on and you're black, you're over. And that's I'm not trying to crack a joke, like especially you go back to like the 70s and 80s when things were even more tense than they are today. You know what I mean? Like today it's pretty calm, but shit's still pretty racist and shit. Like let's be real. JYD was over down there, man.
I was wondering where JYD was. Like he was in WWF, but like the biggest African American star right now in '86 in WCW is Shaska Watley.
And
he's feuding with the Boogie Woogie Man.
I was gonna say Kamala, but Kamala's not in WWF at this point in time yet. I think Kamala comes in the late '80s and then disappears and comes back in the '90s. Yeah, it's good. I think JYD is probably the most over black wrestler of this time. I think
he's going for the IC championship at WrestleMania. Now that I just said it right now and thought about it,
the only other person of ethnicity would be Jimmy Snuka. I think you go Jimmy Snuka and Junkyard Dog are probably the two most over non-white wrestlers at this point in time. I think that's a safe thing to say.
Yeah, I think so. Especially watching WCW in '86.
Especially when you think they may have had some talent, but like we said, SD Jones was on TV all the time, but Junkyard Dog is getting a title shot. And that's where the difference lies, right?
Yeah.
Right, like.
And Shaska Wally was in a good feud. He was cutting the Boogie Woogie, or he cut the Boogie Woogie Man's hair. He would always come out like all crazy, Boogie Woogie Man, all fucking, yeah, daddy, ooh yeah, I'm gonna get in there and wrestle, daddy.
The
and like
Boogie Woogie Man.
yeah, and then like he Shaska turned on him and he cut his hair, and I forgot who he joined, but he
And
cut.
just think, it's 1985, right?
Mm-hmm.
In about 8 years' time, Colonel Parker is gonna walk the Harlem Heat out in fucking chains around their necks and ankles. Like, just as you start to think, like, wow, we're making progress here. WCW, hold my beer.
Yeah, and we forgot to mention this Intercontinental belt was the silver plate green strap
Yeah,
Intercontinental belt.
this is the old
Mm-hmm.
one.
This might be like the second rendition of the Intercontinental belt.
Um,
It's not the original.
no, it's not the original. It's if it's not the second, it's probably the third.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they would have been changing titles around like they do now.
No.
It's probably safe to say it's the second.
Mm-hmm. And Greg the Hammer Valentine wins by cheating, putting his feet on the second rope, getting the 3 count.
He's a heel.
Yeah. But Tito Santana comes out and tells the ref about this. I guess it's going to lead to a feud with Greg and Tito. And the ref restarts the match for some reason. And, well, because later on there's a disqualification and the ref doesn't restart the match there. So he restarts it here. Greg gets counted out because he refuses to get back in the ring. So he loses, and JYD's pissed because he doesn't get the title. And Greg leaves with his hands up.
Which is funny because, countdown disqualification in UFC, as we just found out, leads to a title change. So,
Yeah, well.
Peter Yan's like, yo, Dana, I saw a guy get hit with a chair and he kept his title.
I don't know, man. When you're a champion, you should know the rules.
No, yeah, well, especially when it was that obvious, but I digress. Here we go. Finally, the greatest national anthem of all time. I love so much.
You got this one then, right? You're going to see it?
Not at all. I just love so much when Bruce Pritchard talks about it. He's like, oh, no, fuck.
Nikolai Volkov.
Nikolai Volkov. I was going to say Nikita Volkov. I knew it was the wrong one. Nikolai Volkov would come out there.
Nikolai Volkov?
Yeah, when he would come out there and he'd sing the song, but he would just like make up random things into it. So as he's singing, like, and people would be booing him, so he could kind of get away with it. And when he would do the accents, he'd be like, show me your titties. Yeah. He'd just like throw something in there, but you can't hear him say it. But they would make bets backstage, like, "Hey, I dare you to say this," and he'd go out there, and he'd just fucking do it. Like,
what's crazy is
so
you could understand this guy, but I think it's Nikita Koloff in
that's what I was.
He's in WCW right now. He's super jacked and he's got the mutton chops.
Yeah,
and he talks like this. I am Russian superior than all you wrestling Americans. Russians make #1 athletes, and you can't understand what the fuck he's saying.
He reminds me so much of Rusev. Ivan Koloff, the Russian Bear. Mm-hmm. I feel like if they made a sequel to him, it would be fucking Rusev, not Miro, but Rusev specifically. And
so it's Nikolai Volkov teaming with my dad.
Ugh.
For those people that don't know, the Iron Sheik is my father.
Yeah,
look at the pictures. There's no denying it.
I remember when you sent me that picture of you as a child, and you're like, "Hey, this is me as a kid," and I'm like, "Whoa, your dad's the Iron Sheik?" Yeah. Like, how did
my father #1 wrestler in Iran?
You guys don't understand how many times as a child Rafa was humbled.
Yes, humbled very much. He break my back. Puh. He would call me a filthy American.
Didn't he call you a jabroni from time to time?
Yeah, filthy American, jabroni, all of them.
But Papa, 4-year-old Rafa would be putting a camel clutch.
Yeah, break my back. Humbled me.
I remember I had a pair of when you work in kitchens, you probably you worked in kitchens, right, for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you wore like running shoes or clogs, it doesn't matter. If you don't wear them for 2 days in a row, all the grease that goes into the shoes makes them kind of like your toes don't stay straight on your shoe; they kind of curl up a little bit. So I remember I left my shoes at work. I had 3 days off. I went back into work. I was like 15, 16, and looked at my shoes, and all the toes were completely curled up on my running shoes for the kitchen. I was like, "Fuck! Like this sucks." So I put my shoes on, and they were all curled. And the chef looks at me and says, "What's wrong? What's wrong with your shoes?" And I was like, "My running shoes, number one." Like, I will humble you with my running shoes. And of course, nobody knows. Like, no one got the reference. Everyone's just standing there like, "What the fuck you talking about?"
Yeah. Well.
Start peeling shrimp.
Yeah. Who's gonna get a reference from 1980?
1980s wrestling.
Yeah.
Like you kind of hope and pray, but yeah, no.
They were really playing up the Soviet Union thing here with
Yeah, they were going hard in the paint.
yeah, more fucking Iron Sheik than Volkov.
Oh, then with Volkov, yeah.
They were bombarding the ring though with garbage and shit.
Yeah.
You had
A lot different, and it's funny too when you see like the shit being tossed into the ring here, and what's going to be like in 10 years' time with the NWO, how different it got.
well, you had fucking Hogan, dude, turning
Well,
heel.
No, I mean like it's just so like here it's a Cold War thing though, right?
Yeah.
Like here it's a race and a country versus country, and people are like, "Fuck you! Here's a piece of paper." Hulk Hogan leg drops Macho Man. They're like, "Here's some fucking batteries."
Yeah.
Like, wow, how that escalated.
Here's my fucking beer, you dickhead. What the hell?
Yeah.
You ruined my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they showed us that Russia was number one, and they showed us that Iran was number one, and America's number two.
The U.S. Express had nothing.
Yeah. I don't remember this tag team at all of the U.S. Express or these belts that they had, or why they had Captain Lou Albano as their fucking manager, or what he had hanging off his. Why did he have piercings on his face?
No, that was elastics in his beard.
Was it?
Yeah, he just had a beard, and he would just put. Wasn't it? He just had like, didn't he just have like little elastics things going in there?
He had one like by his ear too. That's why they're hanging off. I don't know. It's weird as hell.
I don't know. I remember Captain Lou with like the dangling earrings, but I also remember his beard having like little like almost like what my daughter wears in her hair, right? Because her hair is not that thick, so it had like child elastics for her hair. So I always thought that
it's the same thing he has in his ear.
I thought it was just like, little elastics where like they would loop it tight, but it would just like kind of like dangle low.
No, it was the same thing as his ear.
I gotta go back and look at that.
It's really weird. Yeah, but the U.S. Express is Barry Windham, very young Barry Windham, and a very young Mike Rotundo, IRS man, father of the Fiend.
More importantly, father of
Bo Dallas.
Bo Dallas.
Yes.
And you better believe that.
Yeah, you better believe he gave it to Bo Dallas's mom. But yeah, Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham, both very good wrestlers. No gimmick. Well, I don't think a gimmick ever stuck for Windham, but Rotundo later became IRS man.
I think Windham's probably most remembered for combination. I mean, if depending on where you were at the time, Horsemen, West Texas Rednecks, or Blackjack, the new Blackjacks.
Mm-hmm. I know him from the more as a new Blackjack or a Four Horsemen, more as a new Blackjack from what I remember. But
I know
Four Horsemen because
I know the Four Horsemen. I'm the opposite. I go new Blackjack, West Texas Redneck, then Four Horsemen.
Mm-hmm. I knew him as a new Blackjack because that's the first time I saw him with fucking Bradshaw.
Oh, Bradshaw.
I guess it was my age of retaining information of wrestling at that time, I guess. I don't know. But then I had a Four Horsemen pack where he's one of them.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he's in there because at that time they all...
Was that when they all had a title?
Yeah, but the thing is, none of them came with a belt.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, fucking cheapskate ass Mattel. It's already a fucking super 4-pack. Why not put the belts in there already? We're
Seriously.
we're already dishing out $40 for a 4-pack, or not? Yeah, it is. Was it 40?
Drop another 5 and throw some straps in there.
I paid four. Yeah, I paid $14 for that shit
That's not bad.
because people that didn't wrestling fans nowadays don't know who the Four Horsemen are.
Yo, can we take 2 seconds to talk about that Arn?
Oh, you know what's great?
That
With the television title.
yeah,
You know what's
baby.
awesome? That's a printed label one. I ordered a $30 3D printed television title red leather strap from Greece. Should be getting here next month.
No.
Yeah, so it's gonna look
That's
like
gonna be
you know
fucking
how the other
tight.
titles look. He's gonna get
Yeah,
a
yeah.
real television title because
But that's
Mattel
gonna
won't
be
make it
fucking
because
so nice.
WWE doesn't have the
The
license.
licensing. That's gonna be fucking nice, man.
And then Magnum TA has the United States. Magnum TA, I take the United States Heavyweight Championship. Take it to the motherland and you will never see it again. You understand me? Sorry.
No.
That's literal. No,
No,
I'm doing it
no.
better than he does it. To be honest, he's bad.
No, he's terrible.
Yeah, he's really bad. Nikita Krylov,
But
Kolov.
you know what the worst is though, still? Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, he's pretty bad.
I'll tell you, he'll get you pumped up, but if you put on, I challenge anyone listening to this or watching us right now, when this is over, go to YouTube, go to DVD, do network, whatever, punch in Ultimate Warrior promo, hit mute, put on the subtitles, read that shit, and realize that
Destrosity.
those were the words that got you pumped up.
Destrosity. It's not even a word. Um,
Yeah, so
this
the U.S. Express loses the titles, and I
this is a
don't
pretty good
know.
match. For
This is one of those things that we and I know I bring it up. I feel like every time we talk about pay-per-views, it's just the time given. Like I wish these guys kind of had a little bit more time. Um,
yeah, they only had 7 minutes. You're right.
yeah, it's hard, right? Like we talked about SD Jones getting 29 seconds, and then we talked about David Sammartino getting 12 minutes, and it's like these guys could have used a little bit more than 7.
Yeah.
Like they did, they told their story good, but it could have been maybe like a touch better if they went 10.
I
You give them that 3 minutes more, 2.5 minutes more.
and I'm not certain how injured Shiki Baby's back was at this time, and it couldn't have been that bad because he was moving
Oh,
crazy
he.
good.
Well, I mean, he was also probably on fucking every pill under the sun.
Yeah. But he's
I
he's
mean,
doing gut wrench suplexes,
yeah.
fucking taking suplexes. He's in there moving like he didn't have a back problem because if you see him now, all his discs are like
Oh,
fused, so he can't like
oh
move.
no, yeah, he's. I feel bad for Shiki.
Yeah, his back doesn't move up and like he's got to like do this and like he's stuck. Like his back is stuck almost. Like I think he's got like a bunch of discs fused in his back. But he's fucked. It's if you saw him at like the gimmick Royal Rumble or whatever, which he won.
Oh, yeah, which he won it whether like 17 or 18.
Yeah, he's fucked. Like
He's stiff.
yeah, he's stiff as fuck. And watching him here, he's super jacked. Like when he first gets in the ring and takes off his robe and shit, you're like, holy fuck, that guy's ripped.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you look at Sheik, man. He was one of those guys that didn't have a 6-pack,
Mm.
but he was fucking like when he's the definition of barrel chested.
Rogan has talked about how he's still like in his old age, he's still ridiculously strong. Like he was still doing the clubs, like the
Oh yeah. I remember. I think I saw a video of him doing
the
those.
Indian club still, and like
Yeah.
Rogan's like, do you know how strong you have to be to do those? He's like, you have to be strong as shit to be able to do those, especially at the weight that he was doing it and to be able to hold them like he was doing them. And he's like, and he was doing it effortlessly, stuff that I couldn't do at that time. So Motherfucker's jacked. In where it matters, I guess, like core strength, because he was a
Yeah,
wrestler, so he was a legit wrestler.
yeah. Well, that's what they always talked about with Hulk Hogan. Everyone was afraid, like when Hogan, when Sheik dropped the title to Hogan, there was a lot of people that were afraid that it's like, Hogan was coming in, like Hogan went to WWF, flopped out, went to Japan, made Rocky, went back to WWF, and they were going to put the belt on him. And there was a lot of concern that Sheik didn't want to do the job. And Sheik, he took the three count.
Which,
He did it. But
which he's
there,
pissed about to this day.
but he even said to Hogan, "You do it my way, or like you won't win." And Hogan's like, "What do you mean, brother?" He's like, "I will, I will break you." Like, and not like fucking Ivan Drago talking to Rocky. He literally meant, "I will break you."
Mm-hmm. No, and he will. Like he had,
And he could have.
yeah,
Like,
he
when
had the
he's in the
ability.
camel clutch, he could have easily just fucking moved one little way and Hogan never walked again.
Yeah.
Claim it was an accident. My foot slipped. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, and I enjoyed the match for what it was. Uh, eventually, well, the U.S. Express works a lot of tag team moves. Like they're switching in and out, working like just an arm or something, but they'll tag in and out. One gets on the top rope, hits him, and then I think it was on Shiki that they were doing it. Um, but eventually, Sheik goes outside and grabs the cane from Classy Teddy Blassie and hits Wyndham in the head.
Wyndham.
And I think Volkov gets the pin, and
And that's it.
they get the tag team championships.
USA number 2.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess it'd be number 3.
Now they got to fight over 1 and 2, I guess.
Yeah. Who's better, Iran or Russia? Russia.
What's funny is when they get to the back and Mean Gene's like, "Well, what happened to your cane?" And he's like, "What cane? I didn't have a cane."
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, my favorite part about this whole WrestleMania was Iron Sheik calling Mean Gene Mean. Oh, Gene
yeah.
Mean.
Oh, Gene Mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, Gene Mean. Like I don't know if he purposely did that all the time,
No,
but
I think he literally was trying to say it, and that's how it came out.
yeah. Oh, Gene Mean. It was the best. I loved it. Uh, yeah. So they pick up the win through hitting Wyndham in the head with the cane, breaking it, and busted open, and they become the tag team champions. The match after this is Andre the Giant taking on Big John Studd in a $15,000 body slam challenge match. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know the premise of it and everything. The story's there and everything, but I don't know, man. Honestly, for me, this match never used to do anything for me, and it still really doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's like with the first, like when you're playing like a WWE game and you can do finisher to end the match.
Yeah.
It's like that. That's all it is. It's like, hey, if you hit the body slam first, you win. Like it's like,
And I guess at this
okay.
time it was a big deal because it's Andre or whatever. But now
Exactly.
everyone
Yeah.
gets slammed, and all they do is they slam him, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's so strong." At that time, I guess it was well, not even Hogan had done it yet. Well, yes, they. Sorry.
Hogan did do it,
Yes. Yeah.
but it wasn't a WrestleMania
Yeah.
slam, so it doesn't count.
Hmm. And then eventually, the one that counted is the WrestleMania one where Hogan's like, "Oh my God, the first time they ever slammed Andre," and I forget who else had slammed Andre. What big star? I think from Canada. Was it Rock? No, Don Morocco? No,
Dino Bravo? No.
I forget
I
who it
feel like the
was.
only time I ever heard of Andre being slammed was Hogan in was it Met Stadium?
Didn't Kamala do it too?
Who?
Kamala?
That sounds familiar. I don't know.
figure it out. They gotta have it up.
10 times Andre the Giant was body slammed before WrestleMania 3. Strong Kobayashi, Butcher Vachon, Harley Race, Hulk Hogan, Stan Hansen, the Wild Samoans, Ken Patera and Bobby Duncombe, Kamala,
Yeah, see?
Antonio Inoki, Otto Wands.
Yeah, so it's just the most memorable one is the WrestleMania.
And you got to remember, this is all those things those 10 that I just listed were, pre pay per view, pre WrestleMania, and pre internet. So if you were there, you could say like, "Oh, I saw him get slammed." Sure, you did. And then when you watch it live on WrestleMania 3, holy fucking shit, he got slammed. Everyone saw it, and it was in print, right?
Mm-hmm.
A regular old house show doesn't count.
Sorry, my thing was making noise for no reason. This is a really slow match. Andre was very limited at this time. He really couldn't do much. So he did what he could. A lot of bear hugs, a lot of headbutts, a lot of punches, more bear hugs. And he really couldn't take anything either. Like, he was very, very limited by this time. And he eventually slams Big Giant Stud and gets the win.
And then then Andre takes the money.
Yeah, and he's throwing it.
Starts tossing the money around.
And then
you get 100. You get 100.
Yeah. And then Heenan comes in and steals it.
Heenan goes into the inference. That's the highlight of the match.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And then Big John Studd is leaving as well, and Andre swipes at his hair and like pulls it back a little bit, and like at first he's like, I guess I should have to play along with this, and then he's walking away and he's like, you fucking like he was kind of like he was kind of pissed because Andre really did pull his hair. I don't think it was like part of the plan. Part of the stipulation was if Andre did not slam him in time, or if Andre got slammed, he had to retire.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen, so. Next match after this was...
It would have been actually kind of funny now to think about it, to see if he had retired as a stipulation, what the storyline would have been to come back.
At WrestleMania 3?
Well, at any point in time.
Yeah.
Think about Macho Man, right? Macho Man retired. Jake the Snake started harassing them at the wedding, and boom, he comes right back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like it would have been kind of interesting to see how they would have done the Andre retirement angle.
Yeah, but he didn't want to retire, and Vince wanted him to retire, and it just never appeared in WCW, and then when he died in France. Too much alcohol. I think that's what it really fucked
too
up.
much giganticism. Alcohol keeps you young. But look at you. You do 3 shots of whiskey, and you
I'll take another one right now, bro. Don't
make me drink.
Yeah, don't make me do it. I'll get fucked up. Next match after this was Wendy Richter versus Leilani Kai. This match was more for story than anything else. The match was really boring, and at this time, they did not respect women at all. They were calling it the Ladies Championship. They were pulling hair a lot and like gouging at the eyes a lot, and they did have some wrestling moves.
This is those things that you want to watch this match and then go back and watch, Becky and Charlotte, and to really see how far it's come. I think that's the only thing that I like about 80s wrestling is you can kind of like show non-fans or the occasional viewer where women's wrestling has evolved.
Yeah, because you do have to start at a certain point, and this is where the culture was.
Yeah, kind of like how we can show them WrestleMania 3, King Kong Bundy squashing Little Beaver, and then we come all the way to Hornswoggle winning the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah.
I joke.
Cruiserweight champion at that time.
I joke. No, but I think that's This match was garbage, and I say that with no disrespect to the competitors. It's just what women's wrestling was at that time.
Yeah.
And it sucks because when you have Cyndi Lauper, Wendy Richter, Fabulous Moolah, and Leilani Kai, those are three pretty big names in the 80s for wrestling. Well, for pulp culture, I would say, between wrestling and rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some big names. And for us to get what we got then, awesome. Now it just doesn't hold up. That's all it is. It just doesn't hold up.
I wonder how long after this it takes for Moolah to become the spider thing and take the title off of Richter, and then Richter quits. I was gonna say, I'm like, I wonder if it's before this, but no, Richter quits because of that, and she doesn't wrestle anymore for WWF.
No, yeah. Let's see. She's in the Hall of Fame now too, I think, Wendy Richter.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, she's pretty recent too, right? The original screw job.
Yeah, that was the original.
November 25th.
Moolah did not, or they did the fast count, and it was Moolah that did it.
Yeah.
And the reason that they made Moolah do it was because if shit got out of hand, they thought Moolah could handle herself.
Yeah.
In the ring, so they put her in there, and Wendy after the match got in the car and never turned around, never turned back.
Jeez.
What could have been?
So yeah, wild day. Right.
Gotta listen to the boss, or they'll fuck you over, bro.
Yep.
So, do you remember how this match ended? I don't remember how this match ended. I know. I think it was a clean.
It was like a north-south pin, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was clean, right?
Yeah, it was a clean 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm. And then Lauper and
then they celebrate in the ring with the titles.
Like,
it's one of the first iconic moments in WrestleMania history. Like if they show WrestleMania highlights, it's Cyndi Lauper and Wendy Richter jumping up with the title up in the air.
And for them to screw her, I think a year later.
Not even.
Yeah. When was it?
November 25th that year.
Damn. Survivor Series?
House show. There was no Survivor Series yet.
Damn.
Yeah, you're looking at November 25th. This was March, so 3 November is 8 months, less than 8 months. 6 days, less 8 months.
Goddamn.
Goddamn.
Fuck it. That's what happens. Yeah, I guess at that time the storyline kind of fit, but it was, just going back and looking at it's kind of weird. I guess it is historic, but Cyndi Lauper being there. I'm a serious manager. I learned from Captain Lou.
Easy, Mike Tyson.
I'm Mike Tyson. Yeah, so Wendy Richter wins her championship back, because I think they had mentioned that, and the storyline was that Leilani Kai had the help of Fabulous Moolah to win the title off of Wendy, so she retained it back, or she gained it back.
Regained it, yeah.
Regained it. Which leads us to our main event. Well, in between this, they had like a fucking
we can skip all this part.
The dancing of the ladies,
Liberace,
Liberace,
the Cha-Cha girls and shit.
Yeah,
we can just skip through that.
No, don't. I have an in-depth 33-minute conversation about this. Now, the main event was Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. I pity the fool, with Jimmy Snuka for some reason, taking on Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper.
And
Bob Orton.
And you're missing the GOAT, baby.
Michael Jordan wasn't there, but Muhammad Ali was there.
There you go. Well, LeBron wasn't born yet. No, actually, it's funny. I just found out the other day how Mr. T got the name Mr. Like, legitimately.
From who?
Himself. So, in real life, his father and his brother fought in the Vietnam War, right?
Yeah.
And they came back and they served America and shit. And they were still called son or boy by all the white people.
Yeah.
So he decided from here on out, my name is Mr. T.
Yeah.
Because he said, you will never call me boy. You will never call me son. You will always call me Mr. That's my name is Mr. So you will respect me by calling me Mr. regardless who you are.
Yeah.
And when I'm like, fuck, like I love Mr. T. He's one of my favorite people of all time when it comes to like entertainment.
Who doesn't
And
remember Mr. T
when
growing
I
up?
heard that, man, I was like mind blown of how amazing and how brilliant, how like who would do that? You know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I can't come up with anybody.
they were like Muhammad. You imagine Muhammad Ali back in the '60s when he's trying to fight against going to the war, and he's like, my new name is Mister. People would laugh at him.
Well, there's.
Mr. T comes out and says, "You will call me Mister. You will not call me boy. You will call me Mister." That is amazing.
Remember that boxing match? What's his name? Was calling him Cassius.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Say my name," and he wouldn't say his name, and he beat the fuck.
Yeah,
He was beating the
that's
fuck
right.
out of him.
That's right.
He was beating
Yeah.
the fuck out of him. Say my name.
Say my name.
Uh, yeah. So he was there. He was a special enforcer outside of the ring in case shit got crazy. And Pat Patterson was the referee, right?
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to bring that up. Pat Patterson, a young, dapper.
Yeah.
Christ, when I saw him, it took me like a double take.
Well, when they mentioned they said Pat like later. I don't think because I was cooking the first time I saw it through, so I really didn't pay attention to the referee. And then Monsoon mentions Pat Patterson as a referee, and I was like, "What?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"What?"
I noticed it when I noticed it because there was I don't think it was Muhammad Ali. I think there was two referees in the ring.
You
And
know,
I just happened to see one with this big blonde hair. And when you watch enough wrestling, you recognize who they are, right? And I saw the referee with this big blowing blonde mullet. I'm like, I don't remember any referee with a hairstyle that way. And then and then it kind of like a different camera angle came on, and he turned and he looked at it. I'm like, motherfucker, Pat Patterson, how about that?
you know what's awesome? Looking over at my shelf, I have a Greg the Hammer Valentine. I have
Yeah.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I have Hogan from this era. Who else? Who else?
Please
Piper,
tell me that
Mr.
you're gonna be.
Wonderful.
I was gonna say, tell me that you're gonna do a WrestleMania reenactment with your figs.
No, I need the Mr. T and the Bob Orton one. But I
Um,
do have Mr. Wonderful. I do have a Piper, and I do have a Hogan. But I do need the Mr. T. They do have the Mr. T though. They did release them.
they did. That's right. Yeah. Do you have the SD Jones?
No, I don't have an XC Jones.
The fuck's wrong with you, man?
They should. You should write into Mattel and be like, we need an SC Jones. They made a Magnum TA.
That's right. Yeah.
I have the Magnum TA. Did you know that Magnum TA was supposed to be like the next Hulk Hogan level star,
Yeah.
or first
Yeah.
then Hulk Hogan? Because Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. No, I've heard, he was one of those. He's another one of those what ifs. He was supposed to get the title before that car accident,
Yeah.
and he was supposed to rival Hogan, and there was potential of him jumping to WWF and shit, but unfortunately he crashed his car, and I mean, thankful he's still alive,
Hmm.
but it's one of those like, God, man, like what could have happened in Southern wrestling if he didn't have that accident?
Yeah, and he's Tessa
What
Blanchard's godfather, or father-in-law. No. Stepdad.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, he married Tully's Tully's ex-wife. Yeah.
Yeah. Who is it? Do you know who it is? Baby doll? Is it Baby doll?
Uh,
I don't know who it is.
I don't know. Oh no, I think you're right. I think it is Baby Doll.
It could be.
I think you're right.
Uh, it's crazy, man. Looking at this, and I have the figs, and it makes it so much cooler. Going back and watching it now, like I have Wonderful with that gear, like that. I have that robe that he has on. It's pretty cool. I wonder if he has the baby arm. And I don't necessarily have that Hogan. I have that era Hogan because no, I have the '86 belt Hogan. I have him the year after, but still, it's the same fucking Hogan. Let's see. Hogan and Mr.
Sorry,
T.
I'm just trying to see if I can find out
Who he's married to.
I'm just trying to see if it's Baby Doll or not.
You can just look up Tessa Blanchard's mom, no?
I'm trying to. I can't find it. Her mom doesn't pop up here, so
Uh, this was a kind of. It had its wrestling match
it was a.
qualities.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's been a while since I've watched this WrestleMania,
Hmm.
and I've seen a bunch of um. I've seen a bunch of WrestleMania main events, and I've seen a lot of Hulk Hogan main events.
Hmm.
This is up there as one of the worst.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's just not a. It's. I think the problem is that Hogan's not a tag team wrestler.
Hogan's not a tag team wrestler. Hogan's not a storytelling wrestler. And then you have a very overzealous, very stiff working Mr. T. And then on the other side, you have two very good workers in Mr. Wonderful and Roddy Piper, which are the ones that are able to tell the story more in the match instead of just doing slams and power moves and shit like that. They're actually like working on each one of them and keeping them in the corner and trying to avoid them from getting the tag. And then like messing with Hogan and like they keep on switching on and off, tagging each other out. I'm like, no, I want to face Hogan, and then like, haha, psych, and then they tag Piper, and then Piper tags in Wonderful and shit like that. It's they had to carry the match.
Yeah, it just. I almost wonder if the match would have been better if we had just had Orndorff versus Hogan,
Hmm.
like, or even just Piper versus Hogan. Like, just have a one-on-one.
Yeah,
I wonder, maybe have Snuka and Mr. T in the corner. You know what I mean? And have
yeah,
Cowboy Bob Orton and either Orndorff or Piper in the corner. You know what I mean? Like, let them get involved, but do one-on-one, not a tag team.
yeah. But the reason for this was because Hogan is he was in Rocky.
Rocky 3.
Yeah,
And that's why the WrestleMania 2 you get the boxing match between Piper and Mr. T. It's just that continual story thing, and it just didn't do much for me.
I guess at the time it was a lot bigger than it was because of the movie and everything else and where we were at the time, WrestleMania 1. I guess it was a different thing than going back in retrospect and looking at it because it doesn't seem like that crazy of a big main event.
Yeah, and they probably didn't, if they had known what WrestleMania was going to be,
Hmm.
they probably would have done a different angle, but they didn't know this was, to them, this was another Saturday, Sunday night kind of show, right?
And look at it now. We're on the verge of which WrestleMania? 35?
7.
37? God,
37.
goddamn.
God damn.
So, um, I don't necessarily want to say that Mr. T was bad. Like I said, he was overzealous, so he was like a little bit excited,
He was
which
good.
kind of stiffened them up a little bit.
I mean, I'll say he was good at the one point where he had to be at the very end, where he had his time to tackle Piper
Hmm.
to allow for the finish. But outside that, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't do much for me this match, and it sucks because I like a lot of these guys,
Yeah,
and
well,
I'm not the biggest Hogan fan, but Hogan, there's a there like I'm not a big Hogan guy. I'm not a big Flair guy, but when you watch those guys, you have to respect what they did for the business, regardless of what you think about their abilities in the ring, right?
hmm,
And I don't know. For me, I think Hogan deserved a little bit more in this match. Why not have Hogan and Snuka and have Mr. T, as in the corner? You know what I mean? You have a professional wrestler in the corner and you have an actor in the ring.
or put
But
an actor with the heel team. I don't know who, but like why Mr. T in there? Like we all knew he wasn't a wrestler and shit. And then to have a
Yeah.
wrestler in the corner of a non-wrestler, it's like what the fuck?
Well, and it's weird because like
It's like,
yeah,
well,
like
Rafa's gonna coach him. He didn't fucking Snuka. You hear him? Motherfucker can't
yeah.
speak English.
Well, Hogan's a fucking baby face and Mr. T's a baby face, but in the movie they're both heels.
Yeah.
So they're getting cheered in wrestling, but they're getting booed in the movie. So like they're the way that they crossed over didn't really make a lot of sense in a way too.
Hmm.
But I mean, iffy match, okay finish.
Yeah.
It was clean in the sense that you got the 1 2 3 on Orndorff. Orndorff having like Mr. T trying to be nice and Hogan saying don't be nice. He's just gonna backstab you kind of thing. Like you don't. That's a throwback they don't see now. In today's wrestling, Orndorff would have turned face that night.
Hmm.
Kind of like Hogan, actually. Let's fast forward. Hogan in 2002 against The Rock. Right?
Yeah. He had the same
That's
opportunity.
exactly it. That's exactly what happened. Hogan got beat, then he turned face. Orndorff got beat, and he was about to turn face, and he walked away heel.
Yeah. So, Mr. T tackles Piper, I think, and they're outside,
Yep.
and
He ta-
then
yeah, he tackles Piper into the corner
the
or
ref
outside the ring or
gets
something.
distracted.
The referee tries to break them up.
Yeah. And at this point, Bob Orton is on the top rope and goes to hit Hogan. Hogan avoids it. Mr. Wonderful gets hit,
Yeah,
and he's
with
knocked out with the cast.
with
Yeah.
that arm that was broken for a solid 8 years.
Hey, bro, it can happen. All right. He's got brittle
Well, I mean,
bones.
because he keeps wrestling. He doesn't take time off.
Yeah. Which sucks is I had a bone break and they had to go in and re-break it and reset it. So
Ugh.
I was out for a complete year.
Oof.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So Piper and Orndorff lose. Orndorff is. And Piper leaves at the end of the match. He's like, "Fuck
And you know what's
this."
weird is as Piper's walking out, he's shooting out the "I love you" that Jimmy Snuka normally would shoot out.
Hmm. Um. Mr. Wonderful wakes up from being knocked out, and he sees all the baby faces in the ring, and he starts swinging, and he starts like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And these guys are like, "Hey, calm down, dude. You're good. We're not gonna fuck you up. You're good. Your boy left or whatever."
Yeah.
And this is the opportunity where he has a chance to turn face, and he doesn't. And he,
But it's not even that he turns face. It's that Mr. T is consoling him, and Hogan pulls Mr. T away. Hogan's almost the heel in the way. Hogan's like, no, he's the bad guy, brother. Don't go near him.
you don't know him, brother. He's a heel. He's a heel.
Meanwhile, Hogan's like grabbing a black guy and saying, hey, you're the good guy. I'm like, yeah, Hogan, we all know what you think about black people. But boom.
Hey, the video's out there, bro. Anyone can catch it.
Dude, when I saw that video or that meme, when Hogan finds out that Bobby Lashley's the champion, and it's Hogan spray painting NWO, but all you see is the N
Yeah.
and the first line in the W, and I'm like, oh fuck no, like no, nope, nope.
It's a pretty good meme.
That's fucking brutal, man.
Pretty hilarious meme.
It's great, and the best part is that when I share it, I can share it to specific people because if I share it to the general public, no one will get it.
Oh yeah, no. People take
It's
it like you're racist.
Oh, dude, my buddy Kip listens to the show. He's black, and I'm like, listen, dude, I'm not racist. I think this is hilarious, and he's a big wrestling fan. And I'm like, I know you're gonna find this funny. I apologize if it offends you, but trust me, like I know you're gonna. And I sent it to him, and he goes, "Dude, why the fuck you apologizing? That's fucking gold." You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking perfect because it's like it's the perfect Hulk Hogan meme for today's day and age.
It's hilarious.
It's so accurate too, right? Like it makes sense on so many levels, but.
They go backstage and Gene Mean is interviewing them, And they're cutting promos, and it looks like Mean Gene just wants to end it, and these guys are just going and going, and Mean Gene's just like, can we like we need to end it, we need to end it.
Well, because he's thinking like, listen, guys, in 13 years' time, Halloween Havoc's gonna have this issue, so we got to wrap this shit up.
Yeah, and then
And Mean Gene with the comb over, eh?
yeah,
Great comb over.
Snuka too. He was trying to cut him off because Snuka kept on like saying the same stuff, very broken English.
I wonder on as much cocaine as Snuka was that night. Let's be real, man. He snorted half a Columbia before he went out for that.
Probably.
He's like, I can snort a line, and I don't have to wrestle. Chop it up.
Hey, dude, what are you gonna do? Just chill out on the sidelines? Might as well do a line or two.
Yeah.
Keep it exciting.
What else?
Keep you amped. No, and he almost did a superfly
Yeah, the splash.
Yeah, he got on the ropes and everything, but they almost. Yep. I was scared because it looked like they were gonna bump him. I was like, oh shit, they're gonna bump him off by accident.
Yeah.
Well, that was the end, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we talked about it on the recording, if we mentioned it beforehand, but this was one of the very few, if not the only WrestleMania that we could have potentially done a watch along to.
Yeah, we could have. It's 2 hours long.
2 hours, 18 minutes, I think, was the total runtime from start to finish. I mean, I don't want to give it a bad grade. I don't want to give it a good grade. I feel like the only way that I can actually view this is by saying it's 1980s wrestling.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's all it I grew up in the 90s. It's 2021. This is 37 years ago. You know, it's like, it's not what we're used to. It's not what we grew up on, but it's not terrible. It's just different.
Where you're witnessing the rise of two rivaling companies that will rival each other for years to come. WCW and WWF.
Yeah.
And it's going to be beautiful. You have stars on both sides rising to the top, interchanging through promotions, making both great, and eventually WWE comes out on top.
Hear that, AEW?
Hey, you never know, man. You see this merger that they're fucking doing with everything?
Yeah.
It's smart on their behalf. I heard Okada's coming over soon.
Hey, WWE is doing a merger.
With the Peacock Network?
No. The XFL and the CFL.
Do they own anything from XFL? The Rock owns it.
Well, I mean, it's Vince McMahon's idea.
Yeah. It was his baby.
It's Vince McMahon's baby that The Rock adopted is now going to be.
I think it'll be more successful with The Rock, to be honest.
Oh, once things get flowing, it'll be fine. Once COVID and shit goes away, and honestly, listen, people shit on Canadian football. Listen, if the Canadian Football League can get into certain markets in the States, and certain markets from the States can get into Canada, I think that the CFL and the XFL can have a nice little merger. And I'm not saying that they're going to compete with the NFL, but we could have like a legit USFL where the USFL wanted to be big. This could just be something different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all it is. Just something different.
That'd be
which benefits fans. Why not? Springtime football, baby.
Hey, there's a lot more legal gambling nowadays, so you never know.
100%.
All right, Ryan. Let's close it up and get out of here. Any final thoughts before we shut this shit down?
You know, I think I think we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that if we all just keep pushing forward, we're going to be able to start seeing fans when we watch wrestling. We're going to start being able to go to wrestling events. You know, it's been a hell of a fucking ride these last little bit, but you know, we've gotten through it this far. We just got to push a little bit farther. I want to thank you again, Raph, again for having me jump on.
No problem, buddy.
Listeners, please go listen to Excellently Executed. Frankie, get your ass back in the studio, Bubby. Let's get some footy talk going here.
Yeah, I don't even want he even watches soccer anymore.
Well, no, because Messi sucks. Oh,
Oh,
shots fired. Now you got to record and come at me, Frankie. Oh, and Funko Pop. Finally, Seinfeld coming my way. I'm getting me some collectibles, baby.
I don't like Funkos, so
Yeah, well, Seinfeld Funko Pops, I'm all over it.
Seinfeld's cool, but I'm not a Funko Pop guy.
I dig them.
Dig it. All right,
Mm-hmm.
Ryan. Thanks a lot for joining me. Everyone else, please subscribe. Thanks a lot for viewing. Smash that like button. Drop your comments. And please join us this Saturday. Me and Toucan will be covering whatever fight night it is. It is Kevin Holland taking on Derek Brunson. So that's the main event. Like I said, please subscribe, drop a comment, smash that like, and we will catch you guys next time here on the Full Heel Podcast.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Is that today?
Wednesday.